Inner space, inner space, Zhyokhi.
Today we have a slightly different setting. Actually, the only difference is that the sun is coming through. Normally I have anchors in what I'm going to talk about, but today I don't have any. I've just decided to set up the camera and speak about what has been going through my mind lately. The last video was kind of interesting. Also speaking about the darker parts of life, as you will, because not everyone experiences this life as light and bubbly. And that whole video was about shining light on the darker parts of life and how I personally move through those parts. I don't believe in acting like everything is fine. Well, you feel very different from the inside. I believe that most problems come from the fact that we are not really honest with ourselves and about what we really feel. The longer you hold those things inside of you, the more problem stagnation they are going to create in your experience, your life, your worldviews, because you start to feel more and more alone with everything that is going on from the inside. And when you shine a light on the dark, you will start to see that you are not as alone as you think you are in everything that you feel. But with that being said, for people that have been following me in this very new journey of getting out here, sharing my perspective, already know that I've been away from social media for over 5 years. I've deleted everything, built up my business, scaled it to enormous numbers, you can say, and then everything collapsed. So you can imagine that that came with quite a process. A lot of things to metabolize, a lot of things to work through, up until a point that I had to restructure my whole foundation. And that is what I've been doing. And that is also what you see me doing here. Well, showing up. Showing up while being undone. Because I will be the last person that claims to have all the answers. But I feel obligated to talk about the things that I do know, because I've experienced quite a lot in this short, but at the same time, long life experience. With that, I feel some kind of responsibility to offer another perspective, to show up with presence, to be a part of the things that I personally miss within this world. And I've touched on that in my other video. Big part of it is honesty. Honesty. The more we show up with presence and honesty, the more we add to a complete perspective when it comes to life and everything that comes with it. And everyone has their own life experience. You have people that truly experience this life as bubbly and light, and it can make you feel that there's something wrong with you, but there isn't. There are so many factors that play a part when it comes to that. upbringing, having some kind of guidance, parents, love in your life, support, your experience, identity, personality. There are so many factors that play a part in that. But even if you take that all away, we all have a specific journey that we have to walk here on earth. And suffering is inherently connected, and everybody experiences that in their own way. I believe that there are a lot of people that are prone to more suffering than others. And it often has to do with certain rules that they have to play within the collective, right? I believe that pain is functional to shape us into who we really have to become. When it comes to suffering, I think a lot of suffering comes from not really knowing who we are on a deeper level, and from truth and inner truth and integration fatigue. But even being in this prolonged stage of pain, suffering, will eventually push you into the right direction. It's all signal. And I say that to say this: it's knowing who we really are at a deeper level, and then having the right tools to integrate that inner truth and awareness into our daily lives. Because often, even if we know who we really are, or we at least know what we want, we often fail to follow that instinct because of several reasons: conditioning, fear of what others think of us. Hiding feels more safe. And that is an interesting process that I've been going through lately and have been thinking about a lot. Because if you know who you really are, which I know of myself, it comes with responsibility to follow that inner guidance, but it also comes with a lot of challenges. I've been questioning this journey, although I know that this is the path that I have to walk. I've been questioning myself, like, why do I really want this? And I found myself negotiating, because when you put yourself out there, it's very vulnerable. You are open to critics, to all kinds of stuff, projections of others. And I feel that this is a very good stage to think about that because everything is very small. I just got back, but I already feel, I put myself out here. And obviously, I've created the whole remembrance series to create a clear path for people that are still in the dark. And I feel that I have to create this container, or at least something outside of myself, where this whole process can exist for others that are still there. Because a lot of people, when they get out of the quote unquote darkness, they forget the ones that are still there. And I wanted to prevent that. And as a result of that, I've created something that is very, not only close to the heart, but also very vulnerable. I put myself out there. And everything now is still very small. And I've been thinking, a big reason is that I'm still negotiating with myself if this is what I really want. But at the same time, I feel that I don't really have a choice, because it's who I am. I have to share in some kind of way. Obviously, you have numerous vehicles and ways in which you can do that. But knowing yourself comes with a responsibility. Could that be a reason that a lot of people stay away from going into the depths of their soul? Because what it would mean, if you know, you have to act on it. But that's for another story. The negotiation that I've noticed within myself is, so I've realized that I was still in negotiation with myself when it comes to getting out here, because it's still very new for me. And I had to rewind, okay, why did I do this again? What are the cons? What are the pros? But even with those, I feel that this is the path that I have to walk, at least for now. So I took the opportunity to dive a little deeper into that conversation, or that negotiation rather. And it comes down to opening yourself up to all kinds of projections of others, feelings, perspectives. But you also pay a price, because there is a possibility that you will grow if you put yourself out there, and you will be seen by more and more people. And I've realized that I've been holding myself back on purpose, because I am still negotiating if this is what I really want, if that is the price that I want to pay. And I don't talk about fame or anything like that at all. I'm not interested in all of that. But to be known for the things you speak about, even by a smaller group of people, it is a price you pay with your privacy, the amount of projections from outside. You have to be very extremely aware of yourself to be able to deal with that. But then I figured there's another side of it all. And this is how I moved through it. So I questioned myself, okay, that is the quote unquote price you have to pay, but there's always a price. There's a price of staying invisible, and there's a price of becoming visible, as long as it's with the things that I can really stand behind and that I really believe in. I'm willing to pay the price, I think. No, but I say that to say this. It's also such a training camp for self-containment, energetic mastery, because we are living in a world with so many people, and we all have to coexist. Often this seems to be a problem because people cannot simply accept that we are different people. We all have our own perspectives. We all have our own worldviews, filters. They are created from our upbringing, the things that we experience, the things that we've been through, the things that we have observed. There are like 8 billion complete different perspectives, and we have to find a way to coexist. So it's a big training camp to really know, feel, and trust who you are. Because if you are completely settled within yourself and you have found a home within yourself, nothing outside of you should be able to shake that. That is the real training camp. Like, okay, let me keep it by myself, because these are the questions that I've asked myself. Okay, if there is an outside critic, opinion, perspective. It just becomes a test of my own ability to stay connected with myself. And it's a very interesting process because it sharpens your own perspective. And if you can put yourself in a position where you can just observe the perspective or the critic, whatever it is, and ask yourself, okay, what of that is actually true? Because that is also a thing. A lot of people can just dodge things and say, like, oh, that's not me, that has nothing to do with me. But as long as it triggers something within you, it is worth it to at least question it and see it as an opportunity to sharpen yourself or to become even stronger within the self and who you really are. That is how I start to see it now. And let me give an example because I'm still like my platforms, I just got started, right? So I'm still moving through it. And the negotiation is a big part of the fact that I haven't been growing very fast yet because I know how to do it. I know how to do it. If I really wanted, I could been quite further along in when it comes to numbers and growth, but I don't care about vanity numbers. I care about resonance. There are a lot of tricks and psychological things that people implement to grow their platforms significantly to large numbers in a short amount of time. But what does that create? I believe in where's that attention actually built from? Again, I care about resonance. I'm not in a hurry. This is not about me and about how I feel or needing something outside of me to feel strong within myself. That's the whole journey. And that I can walk that journey consciously because I think about it and I reflect. Okay, what do I want with this? What is the actual intention of me being out here? And for me, that's extremely important. I'm not in a rush. But that doesn't say that you are not going through certain processes. Because when you put your heart and soul in your work, whatever it is, even if you are an artist or a speaker or anything, it will put you through the test, you and your work, to see how connected you are to your own body of work. Because as long as you need outside validation for it, till what extent have you actually validated yourself? So that process is always going to be there. It's that internal process of things that get triggered and touched within the self that you have to question. Let me give you an example. I have this thing in my life. It comes obviously from my youth. Obviously, it's like a lot of things that we are struggling with today come from our upbringing, especially from the age between 1 and 7, where big part of your conditioning is formed, etc. But I had this thing in my life that I would never be enough. I would never be enough. And to not go too deep into that right now, I already discussed it in some other videos. This became a red thread. Do they use that in English in that way? But this became a theme in my life, a reoccurring theme that showed itself in many different ways. For example, my substance abuse, you can say, from a very early age, it was never enough. That's why I always overused everything, because the underlying belief was it is never enough. It's very extremely weird when I look back at it, how that specific theme spread itself like an oil spot throughout my whole life. Never enough. Whatever I do, it's never enough. Then I started my business, scaled it to enormous numbers, but it would never be enough. You know how exhausting that is? If the underlying belief or foundation, as you will, of your life is never enough, like, why would you keep moving? Why would you keep putting effort in things? Why would you stop with things that are bad for you if it's never enough? That is a thing that lives within me that I've been working on very hard. But still, now, when I'm putting myself out there, this feeling comes to mind sometimes of, why would I even do this if it's never enough? So that also plays a part in the negotiation. The point of it all is that knowing yourself is extremely important. When you finally know yourself, you have to put the work behind it, right? It comes with a responsibility. That is why I feel that a lot of people stay away from it. But when you finally know yourself, then it comes to, how do I bring that into practice? How do I integrate that? How do I integrate my inner truth into daily life so it can actually lead to that fulfillment that we are all searching for, right? So even from that stage, you would expect that everything after that is easy and flowy because now I know who I am. But it still comes with this process, day-to-day process of needing to integrate that inner truth, to metabolize, to embody, and to actually live the things that you know. And I'm here to be honest about that process, about the whole process of moving through life, and also the darker parts or the more difficult parts of what it means to live as your full self. I feel like this video is all over the place, but as I'm metabolizing this whole thought process, what has helped me so far is making it less about me and more about the bigger why. Because me hiding myself is only about me. Because then I can feel safe. But there are certain things I need to share with the world. And at the same time, it's important to also listen to the things that I need on this journey. Where it all comes down to is, how do we move through the whole process of what it means to live as the most truest version of you, self mastery, self containment. Seeing this as an opportunity to strengthen the connection to self, the connection to my own truth. Because if I believe in my truth and I stand behind it fully, there should be nothing outside of me that can shake that. And if so, it's just an opportunity to strengthen that connection with my inner truth even more, so I can show up with even more truth and presence. A small example, I have created a system, a synthesis that I've created, built out of 8 ancient systems that I've studied for over a decade. And I've created that because I came across a lot of systems and they are very good at explaining different facets of who you are on an identity level, or which perspectives you have, like astrology, for example, is just the way that light reflects in your mind, which gives you certain outlooks and perspectives on different areas of life. But they never talk about how to metabolize those things. Also, I don't really believe in a default. I'm more fluid in my perspective when it comes to all of those systems. A lot of people run away with it like, oh, this is just how I am. I'm just a Pisces, or I'm just an Aries, or I'm just a life path. That being said, something about that in a second. But I'm just like that. I'm just coded like that. I have a way more nuanced perspective when it comes to those things. Everything is coded, but it's no different than a computer with hardware and software. But you can always download other programs on it. So nothing is a default modus. You can always do things to change things or to awaken different codes within the cell. The more you know the base coding, the hardware and the software, the more you know what you are working with, the more you put yourself in a position where you can optimize that what you are working with. And that is why it's so important to know your inherent coding, which is again not a default, but a very good starting point from where you can optimize your whole life experience. But with that being said, I put something out the other day on TikTok with the best intentions to help people through small blocks that they experience with the help of my synthesis, with minimum data, because obviously we are on social media. I cannot ask people all the data that I need for my full synthesis. Apart from that, it takes me a couple of days to decode one person. But I just wanted to get out there and genuinely help people to just be present and use my synthesis with the small blocks that they experience. So I said something along the line of share your birth date and something you are struggling with at this moment, and I will do a few decodes. So a couple of people responded, and everything that I said resonated deeply. So that was all good. But then there was this one person who responded like, "Don't do it. She's trying to get your life path number." And I was looking at that message. I was like, so what can I possibly even do with a life path number? I don't even use life path numbers, because even if you would want to put a lot of emphasis on a life path number, they are so far from the ability to cover the full human complexity. Life path numbers are more about the general theme of someone's life. And I was looking at that thinking like, what could I possibly even do with a life path number? It's so restricted. There's no form of sensitivity in knowing someone's life path number. And it was like this warning sign of, don't do it. She's trying to get something out of you. It's like, what? So my initial reaction was like, why would you say something like that when I have the best intentions? What is that? Why do people feel the need to do that, right? So I just took a quick look at her page out of interest, and I saw she was offering love readings. I was like, okay, interesting. I had a feeling around that. And then I saw another post, this positive affirmation of we shouldn't put others down. I was like, okay, interesting. And in that moment, I just took a moment to get back to myself and I was like, okay, you know what? We are all human. She looks at the world from her own filter, her own perspective. Maybe she has a bad experience with somebody knowing her life path number. Can. But the fact is that I can give it all kind of meaning at that moment and feel personally attacked, or just leave it exactly where it belongs and think like, okay, that's her worldview. I don't know where she's coming from. I don't know what she has experienced. When I put myself out there, I also open myself up to different perspectives, people with different upbringings, different filters, different ways of looking at the world. They have a right to comment on that. It's something that you will never prevent. As soon as you get out there, you open yourself up to all kinds of projections, all kinds of worldviews, all kinds of intentions, all kinds of anything that doesn't have anything to do with you. And that is where you need to practice self-containment. Because every time that someone gets you out of yourself or the home that you have created within the self. That is where you have the ability to work on your weak spot, the underbelly. Every time that someone outside you triggers you, you have the opportunity to strengthen the connection with self, to know yourself deeper, which then results in the ability to show up in the world with more truth, honesty, and presence. That's why I will continue on my own journey of going inwards and sharing what I found along the way in the most honest way possible. In the end, the only thing that matters is how deeply you know, trust, and love yourself. And as long as you need a place outside of yourself to land, you will never find a place inside of yourself that you can call home. I believe this video was all over the place. I also believe that I already said that. Again. But it's real. It's what came out today. It's what I wanted to share. It's imperfect. It's messy. It's messy in the messy middle. Also another thing, give yourself the permission to be undone. Let it coexist. As long as we are here, we are undone. So those things always need to coexist. They just need our permission to be exactly that. Things will be so much lighter if we would give ourselves more permission to be undone and to accept everything that comes with being undone. If you are still here, I appreciate you being here, and I see you in the next one. Honor your inner space and carry yourself with grace.
Others call it strong, I call it steady. Just because I carry it doesn't mean it isn't heavy. Grace is not weightless, it's forged under pressure in a space.